Before we start the show today, shoutouts to Reggie, who's my new supporter on Patreon. If you'd like to support me and the show, please consider becoming a patron on my Patreon page. Reggie has requested I play some old AC/DC stuff today. Thank you for the support. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we have a 1980 Gibson Les Paul Custom and a very nice cherry sunburst finish. This one's almost that heritage cherry sunburst, but it's not quite as dark. What kind of makes this one appear that way is because the lacquer has aged a lot. Now, I got this one on an eBay auction. I ended up bidding a little bit more for it than I really wanted to, but I was okay with the price. However, it came to me and it wasn't as described. There's another slight twist to this neck. The bridge pickup has been changed, and this thing reeks of smoke. Now, I get it. A little bit of smoke is okay, but this is the kind where I'm not even allergic to smoke, and this thing gives me a headache just touching this thing. And this was probably the filthiest guitar I've ever had. Just take a look at these photos of the fretboard previously. So I went through and cleaned this guitar up, trying to get all the nicotine off of it, and then all the finger gunk off the fretboard. I mean, that stuff was caked on there. And then I was left with a pretty decent looking guitar. And after I did all that, that's when I found out some parts have been changed. So I let the seller know I would accept a partial refund to replace the pickup, or at least the value of the pickup, or I would gladly return it. I have no issues. So the seller eventually decided to go for the return. I mean, there is a very slight twist to the neck. It's really hard to show it, but it is there. The bass side, once again, is a little bit higher. Now, this one's not so bad that the guitar needs any work. So if you see this one for sale again on eBay, no, it does have a twist, but it is not, necessarily one that needs work, but it shouldn't sell for top dollar. So this guitar appears to be all original except for the bridge pickup. It appears to be a 498T that somebody swapped out, and it has a very early Tim Shaw, so that's very nice. So these late 70s, early 80s customs, they still have your 3-piece maple neck, which I think look really cool. You still have a small volute for about a year or two yet. You have your Gibson branded shawlers, ebony fretboard, 3-piece maple top on this one, speed knobs. Again, this is a very early Shaw, 1980 date stamp. Nashville styled bridge, tailpiece. I mean, these really are great rock and roll guitars. Besides the twisted neck, you can see this one has quite a bit of finish checking on the front, but it definitely does have a very cool vibe to it. So now that we've learned a little bit about late 70s, early 80s customs, let's go ahead and hear how this one sounds. Our dirty tones come from a Marshall JMP 1C. Clean tones come from a Gibson Super Gold Tone GA30 RV. This one weighs 10 pounds, 14.3 ounces, and has a 60s neck profile. Now that we've heard how this guitar sounds, let's go over its condition. Now, despite this guitar looking absolutely trashed, with all this nicotine all over it, and the staining and the aging of the finish, it's really not in too bad of shape. If this thing didn't have aged lacquer, I would actually consider this one almost very good condition. But you can see here on the face of the headstock, you've got some scratches and general wear and tear, but a lot of finish checking. You do have a little bit of a ding right here. What I think that is a cigarette burn mark. But definitely lots of wear and tear on the front. You got a small little chip there. But it's just got that really cool aged vibe to it. You've got some clear coat wear along the edges as well, but no breaks, cracks, or repairs to this example. The fretboard is ebony, and once again, I painstakingly scraped all that gunk off of it and treated this with the proper conditioning oils, and now it's definitely looking a lot better. The frets are heavily worn on this thing though. I think you definitely need a level and recrown job. They are very flat. Now, the eBay seller had told me this guitar plays great. There's absolutely no buzzing at all. And when I got it, this bridge was literally probably about this high. So no wonder there was no buzzing. The action was jacked way up. This was basically a slide guitar. Now, I lowered it down, did a traditional setup kind of. Now, it is a little buzzy, but it's not so buzzy that it really destroys the sound once amplified. So a level recrown job would definitely do these frets wonders, but isn't 100% necessary to get. There's a little bit of divoting to the ebony fretboard, but not a lot. The face of the guitar is actually in pretty good shape. Now, when I first pulled this guitar out, I thought, well, maybe it is all original, but then I looked at this bridge pickup, and that's when I decided, before I even pulled it, I already know that one's not original. Do you see how it just looks different? This one just isn't as shiny. That's how I knew this is going to be an original pickup, and this back one is definitely replaced. And I was right. It's just a little bit more shiny. You can also see that there is a very slight shape difference. These have more rounded corners, whereas these are a little bit more stark and to a point. Now this guitar, as I said before, it's actually in pretty good shape. Somebody really cared for this thing, but they just happened to play in smoky bars a lot, I think. Beautiful three-piece top. You can see there's a little bit of dulling to the finish here. At certain angles it looks like it's worn off, but it's not. It is there. But you have lots of finish checking on this example. Not there, we can see it. I mean, this is definitely a very beautifully aged one. Speed knobs, super dark and golden from all the years of smoky bars. As you're seeing here, there's no real giant gouges in the top. Not a lot of picking wear or anything. The only blemish that I can really find on the top is right here. It looks like somebody used a bridge adjustment tool, and it kind of broke the finish a little bit. But it's not too bad, because you're really not going to feel that area. Once again, tons of finish checking. Again, you have your original 1980, very early Tim Shaw PAF, and what I believe is a 498T Gibson USA pickup. Back of the headstock here, serial number 8276-0544, made in USA. Now, something I really like about this example is it feels super high-end because the wings have tons of flame to them. You see that? Beautiful. It's a shame this one has to go back of the head. Now you also have tons of finish checking on the back of the headstock here, and you have some that runs across the typical brake area, but I like it when I see something like that rather than a small one just right there. That tells me it was just naturally made through the weather checking. So no trauma to this headstock. However, again, there is a small twist to the neck, but the guitar still plays alright. But this is why I like maple necks, is because they have a lot of beautiful little dancing figuring to them. I think mahogany is just a little bit plain, but it's the more traditional one. So definitely a 60s neck profile on this one. Not a lot of wear and tear, not tons of flame either, but enough to keep it interesting. Back of the guitar, the mahogany wood definitely makes the finish look a lot darker than it is on the neck because, well, maple's a lighter colored wood. But this thing's not really torn up into shreds or anything. It was definitely a well-respected guitar. I mean, yes, there is a little bit of buckle worming, but not a lot. Now the pots are original, but once again you have that one replaced pickup, so there has been some touch-ups in there. Take a look around the sides of the guitar here. And you just got some light wear and tear. But besides that one pickup, this one is original. I mean, it's a real shame this one had to have a twist in the neck. I mean, I cleaned it up nice enough that the smoke smell isn't quite as bad, but this one will still give you a headache if you're not used to it. We'll do a blacklight demonstration here. You can see everything on the headstock's pretty good. You got that small little ding up here though. Onto the body. Again, you've got that light wear into the clear coat. It feels a little bit more satin-like in that area. It's definitely been worn down a little bit, but everything else is glowing the way it should. Back of the headstocks, no breaks, cracks, or repairs, but you got a little bit of hanger rash. And we'll take a look up here. No real major nicks or dings. Back of the neck, nothing really worn off. Just a beautiful, even glowing finish. Take a run around the sides here real quick as well. Now this guitar comes with its original case, and I kind of consider this a Gen 4 Gibson chainsaw case. Technically there's only 3 generations, but this one is so awful in comparison to all the other ones, I don't like to associate it with Gen 3s. I mean, Gen 3s aren't my favorite case in the world, but they are great for shipping. They just kind of take up too much space for a collection. That's why I prefer the Gen 1s and 2s. But you do have 3 metal latches. The back one is broken off on this one, and the logo, as you can see, is kind of peeling up. It'll probably come off fairly soon. It's all scratched up too. But this is why this is the worst one they ever made. What's the best thing about a Gen 3 chainsaw case is it's nice and bulky and protective and padded. Very padded. So Gibson thought, hey, why don't we take all of the padding away and just strip this down to make them cheaper? And I hate this version of the case. They even took the compartment lid off, because if one was missing on one of these, you would see a small little hole right there. So they did away with that, so you no longer have a compartment lid, but you do have a space. They don't have any padding here, they just have a little bit. I mean, there's basically nothing there, and you have just a little bit there to support the neck. The padding on this is pretty much non-existent. It's just basically there so you don't scuff your guitar up against the plastic interior. You can see there's no padding there, very limited there. So I hate this version of this case. It took the one good thing that the Gen 3 had besides the metal latches and just took it all away. Because normally on Gen 3s, they have a pretty thick padding, about this thick or so. But this one, I mean, it's not even thick at all. If you think you might be interested in this 1980 Gibson Les Paul Custom, I'm sending it back. You'll probably find it for sale again on eBay though. But just remember, you've got a replaced bridge pickup and you got a slight twist to the neck. If you want me to help you find a similar guitar, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Troglys. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow, Troglodytes, on the next episode. Take care.